video is intended to help you understand where to position, and how to signal whilst approaching and whilst on roundabouts. The way we signal and approach roundabouts is determined by our intended exit. Approaching some roundabouts, you may get an information board like this. The sign is displayed with the perspective that you are arriving at the roundabout from the bottom. Any exits that are pointing to the left would be a left turn. An exit pointing straight up is classed as going ahead. Any exits that are pointing off to the right would be classed as a right turn. So here, the first exit left is going to Nutfield. The second exit left is going to Penderton. The third exit ahead is going to Birmingham on the motorway. Going to Walsham would be a fourth exit right. This, more simple roundabout has 4 exits. So our position in the road whilst approaching, and whilst on roundabouts, and the signals we use are dependent on our intended exit. The highway code tells us that unless there are markings to direct us otherwise, when we are going ahead or left at a roundabout, then we keep to the left approaching and whilst on roundabouts. It is important we keep to our lane position whilst on roundabouts, otherwise we may cause a collision. You can see that there is a parked car on the approach to the roundabout. It is important to get your position over to the left after passing this parked car. If we are taking any exit to the right, then we are to keep to the right approaching and whilst on roundabouts. So that's road positioning. What about signaling? When we are exiting roundabouts, we put a left signal on, to let people know we are leaving the roundabout. We only put our left signal on when our exit is next. So when we are taking the first exit left, we put a left signal on the approach. On this roundabout, if we are going ahead, we would have no signal on the approach. We put a left signal on when we pass the first exit. Whenever we are taking any exit to the right, we arrive at the roundabout with a right signal on. We swap that to a left signal when we are exiting the roundabout. Whenever we put a left signal on, when we are about to exit a roundabout, it is important to check your left mirror to make sure it is safe to exit, particularly when we are exiting from the right lane. To summarize positioning. If you are going ahead or left at a roundabout, then your position should be over to the left, unless directed otherwise. If you are taking any exit to the right, then you keep to the right. To summarize signaling. Signal left when you are exiting a roundabout, and your intended exit is next. Only arrive with a left signal on, if you are taking the first exit left. If you are taking any exit to the right, arrive with a right signal on. If you are going ahead, or left, and your exit is not the first exit, do not have any signal on approaching the roundabout. So if we were to look at this first roundabout sign, if we were going to Penderton, what side of the road would we be in on the approach? We would be on the left side. Would we signal on the approach? We would not have a signal on when approaching. When would we put a left signal on? We would put a left signal on when we pass the exit for Nutfield. If we were going to Walsham, what side of the road would we be on when approaching the roundabout? We would be on the right side of the road. Would we have a signal on when approaching the roundabout? We would have a right signal on. We would swap it to a left signal as we are exiting the roundabout. If we are going to Nutfield, would we have a signal on the approach? We would have a left signal on the approach, and be positioned to the left. Hopefully you now understand how to approach roundabouts, with regards to your positioning and signaling. Sometimes, you may be directed to do something different. For example, approaching this roundabout, we can see there are road markings to tell you to position in the right lane if you are going ahead or right on the roundabout. You will also see there is a solid line of paint circling the inside of the roundabout. If you are turning right on a roundabout with this marking, you should keep to the outside of it. Do not cross this marking. So, for more complex roundabouts, pay attention to the information boards approaching the roundabouts. They will tell you what lane to use. For example, we can see here, approaching this roundabout, to go ahead, following the A570, we can actually use either lane on the approach. These small nubbins on the board are also exits. The board is just not displaying where those exits lead to. What can make things a little more confusing is when an information board displays a primary route. These are indicated by thicker lines on the information board. If you are intending to exit on the A565 to Southport and Liverpool, the thicker line means it is a primary route, and so, unless road markings say otherwise, you may use the left-hand lane, even though it is a right turn. Mini roundabouts function the same as roundabouts. The only difference is that we do not need to signal as we exit a mini roundabout. We need to signal on the approach where necessary, but not as we exit. So if you are going ahead at a mini roundabout, it is not essential to signal at any point. You must make sure you drive around the painted center circle. Do not drive straight over it. So hopefully you now understand how to position and signal on roundabouts. Let us know in the comments if you still have any confusion. Like and subscribe for more driving tips.